Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Speak On It. I'm your boy, R.W. Coolins. It's the year 2022. We're on episode 5 this year. Black History Month. It's 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific. Y'all ready? Are y'all ready? Let's get into this. Let's go. What's going on, my people? What's going on? Speak On It with your boy, R.W. Coolins. First and foremost, giving honor to the God who allows me to come at you in this manner on a weekly basis. OT, good morning. Good morning, brother. Appreciate the support. Appreciate the support. Y'all go check out OT, otradioshow.com. That's the website. Go there. Follow them. Watch the interviews. Like, subscribe. Do what you do. Appreciate the support, my brother. Appreciate the support. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Let's get these formalities out the way so we can go and jump into this show. R.W. Coolins. All social media platforms. Follow. Subscribe on the YouTube channel as well. We're broadcasting live on YouTube and Facebook this morning. So, share it. Do what you do with the other shows you listen to, as I always say. Also, after the show, you can go down and download the audio on Spreaker.com or Apple iTunes. Spreaker.com or Apple iTunes. Just search Speak On the Show or R.W. Coolins. Lady Michelle, good morning. Good morning. Appreciate the support. My man, my brother, Big Al, what's going on, bro? Appreciate the support. So make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel as well as the Facebook, because that's where we're broadcasting live. And as I said, you can go to Spreaker.com or Apple iTunes, download the audio after the fact if you want to listen to the show later on, and go ahead and do that. And keep following. Gary Burns, good morning, bro. Appreciate the support. Sorry I wasn't on last week. Had some technical difficulties in the studio as well as some technical difficulties with myself, but we're back this week. We're going to look past that. As I mentioned, it's Black History Month. We're in February, Black History Month. My suggestion to everyone out there, find some Black history that you can read up on, catch up on, learn something you didn't already know. And we shouldn't just be doing that in Black History Month. We should be doing that every day of the year, just so we're aware of everything that is going on with us as a people and our history as we go forward. 844-904-2665. That's 844-904-2665. No matter what the situation is, let your voice be heard. All we ask, if you call in, say what you mean what you say. We come in as friends, we leave as friends. We may not agree, but we can agree to disagree. That's what we do here on the Speak On the Show. Call-in number is working today, as you can see. So make sure you call in if you got a comment, or do what you do. Type your comment in and, enjoy the show. This week, a lot going on, a lot of things here and there. We're talking about inflation and how high inflation is, what's going on with inflation. Little whispers here and there about, the Supreme Court nominee, who it's going to be, when it's going to be announced, all those different things. You got truckers that are at the border of Canada blocking goods coming in and everything, protesting about the mask mandates and everything. And then there's certain states, California, it will be happening on Tuesday, I think. And Nevada started immediately on Wednesday or Thursday. I can't remember what day it was. But the mask mandates are gone and are soon to be gone in some states. I'm not going to tell you what you should do, but I would say this when it comes to the mask mandates. If you're vaccinated, you're boosted, or if you're not vaccinated, you choose not to get vaccinated, the mask thing is down. A lot of people are celebrating who were anti-vaxxers, as they say. They didn't want to wear the mask anyway or whatever. Protect yourself. That's all I'm going to tell you, is protect yourself. You need to do what you have to do for you, to take care of you, to keep yourself out of harm's way, with the mask mandate being eliminated in a lot of these states. So do what you do to protect you and yours. That's all I'm going to say on that. It's going to be, some growing pains with this. I mean, we took the mask off at one time before, we had to put them back on because of Omicron. Haven't heard too much about Omicron. People still dying. Let's just be real about it. People are still dying. People are still being hospitalized. So you have to do what is best for you and yours. That's all I'm going to say on that. Also this week, before we get into this, there was another murder, let's just call it a murder, of a young man in his own home from a no-knock warrant. I can't remember the state. I didn't want to get too deep into it. Can't remember the state. Can't remember exactly where it was at or anything like that. For Nicole Allen, Nichols Allen. Excuse me. Good morning, my sister. Good morning. Appreciate your support. Appreciate your support. But I can't remember exactly where it was at or anything like that. But I have this question that I've been asking myself, is that why does it seem that when these no-knock warrants, with these death at the hands of police officers and so on and so forth, we see it's always people that look like me. Now, I don't know, and I'm just going to say that I don't know if it's happening to people that don't look like me, but we never hear about the ones that maybe don't look like me. I'm not sure, but it's just something that doesn't sit well. And we're going to get into some other things that are going on around here in this world that seems to gravitate to be beneficial to some, but not others. As we always do on this show, that's what we get into. Well, we're going to start off here this morning. Politically speaking, you know, I can't never get that out. Politically speaking, y'all know what I mean. Politics, and we're going to speak on it. So this week we've seen a lot of things with the former president, as far as they're saying that he had classified material down in Mar-a-Lago that was packed up in boxes, 15 boxes worth. Him and I think it was the NARA, which is records keeping and whatever they do. They have been trying to get these boxes back because of what documents are in there that are supposed to be provided under Presidential Act and all these different things that this president, former president, feels he's above the law. Now, I understand that the president has some leeway in certain things. Okay, I'm cool with that. But the former president denied a report. Well, let's get into this first. He denied a report that he may have flushed official documents down the White House toilet while in office, rejecting the latest accusation of mishandling of presidential records. Now, this is a long time going on of him being allegedly, let's say allegedly, destroying official documents while he was president, tearing them up where people had to tape them back together. We're finding that out now that they had to turn over those 6,000 or 7,000 documents to the January 6th committee. There's some that are taped up. They had to be put back together and everything like that. They said that there's rumors that he would tear pieces up and swallow them and eat them and everything. And now there's things where he was putting them in the toilet and stopping up the toilet. They had to, call maintenance numerous times to unclog the toilet, and they found torn up papers in there. And then the other part of these documents, top secret and classified documents, being in Mar-a-Lago without being in a secure location, which is something that, and let's just go here. These top secret documents, classified documents, are to be handled in a certain way. And I'm only telling you this, and I'm just going to speak from my experience. While I was an active duty military member, there's certain things that you have to do when you're handling these documents. Certain things you have to cover up, certain places you have to lock them up, how you destroy them. All these things are written. Nothing should be any different, even though the president of the United States has handled this. It's across the board. I know when I was active duty member, I was in charge of OPSEC, ComSec at one time. ComSec is communication security, OPSEC, operation security, for y'all that don't know. I don't want to speak over anybody's head, so I'm gonna dummy it down, not only for me, but for everybody listening. So with that, you have certain things that you get classified information, might not even be the level of top secret, but classified information that you have to handle, that you have to control, that has to be controlled a certain way so it doesn't fall into the hands of certain people. And it's only supposed to be in the hands of people that have a need to know. The rumor is something about, allegedly people that packed up the boxes, packed this stuff up. So obviously, if they didn't have these secret clearances, they shouldn't have been handling it anyway. But now this stuff is in Mar-a-Lago. They found it. They're bringing it back. They're doing research and everything. And the biggest question is, will he be charged for the mishandling of this classified documents or this classified information that he has, secret, top secret, confidential, whatever it may be? Listen what I said. There's questions of whether he will be held accountable for his handling of this information, the flushing of the stuff down the toilet. Because as the Presidential Act says, you cannot destroy these documents. He chose to destroy these documents. Now, as I said, when I was a military member and I had to handle this stuff, I was very, very detailed about how I handled this stuff, to the point of where I did it and handled it in the way that it was instructed, because there was consequences if I didn't. Listen, when I said there were consequences if I didn't. I read things about where people were demoted. I've seen instances where people were removed from certain positions because they didn't handle it correctly. Anything you can think of about people not handling it correctly probably happened. But there's this question of whether the president should be held accountable for how he destroyed, didn't handle, tried to hide any documentation or whatever. Why? Why is there this double standard? And like I say, if the standard is this, why is it a different standard for him or anyone of that level? I just don't get this. Edward Allen, no, he will not. They went through that material and removed incriminating information. Yeah, and there's different stories out there about what he handled with it. But the bottom line, and I will stick to this, the bottom line is questions about how he handled it, if he should have handled it, and what he shouldn't have or should have done with the information. With all this in there, if you go into a document or a box of documents and you see a document taped with Scotch tape, taped back together, this is not because the person, well, let's put it this way. You find one, you may be able to let it slide. But if there's numerous documents done this way, then the person that was handling that document or tore that document up should be held accountable. And I say that because I'm going to lead into this one right here. James Battle, good morning, my brother. Appreciate the support. Appreciate the support. I'm going to lead into this one. And this will tell you why I'm a little high strung on this situation right here. Because I've seen people be held accountable. A former civilian employee of the Department of Defense was sentenced Thursday to 3 months in prison after admitting to taking materials containing classified information to her hotel room and to her personal residence. The ex-Defense Department employee sentenced Thursday, Asia Janae Lavarello, was on temporary assignment at the U.S. Embassy in Manila when she took classified documents from the embassy to her hotel room, according to court filings. She hosted a dinner party at her hotel on the day she removed the documents, March 20th of 2020, and an embassy co-worker in attendance found the documents, which had classified markings on them, according to the filings. The ex-employee's sentencing coincidentally came the same week of revelations that the National Archives had raised concerns about government documents found at the Florida residence of former President Donald Trump in recent months. The archives asked the Justice Department to investigate the matter, prompting questions of whether the handling of classified information and government documents could lead to a criminal probe. So this former DOD employee who took documents to her hotel because she was working on a certain project and just so happened she had a dinner party and someone seen the documents and reported it, was sentenced to 3 months in jail. No, not jail, in prison, 3 months in prison for her mishandling of this documentation. But the former president, who had boxes of documents that are supposed to be archived by the Presidential Records Act, torn up documents, classified and top secret documents out of the control of him or anybody else because they're in a box somewhere for anybody to go through and find, and the flushing of documents, torn up documents, and documents having to be taken back together. And the question is, will he be held accountable? These are the people that we're voting into office. People like this. They feel they're above the law because their title says senator, congressman, president, policeman. Just saying. When you look at the big picture, and I will ask this question rhetorically. If you are leaving office What is the need for you to have that information? If you're leaving a position that you were in, say if you're leaving a job that you were at, what is the need for you to take files from that job to wherever you may go to next? Why? My thing is, what are you trying to hide? What documents were you trying to keep in your possession that you didn't want to get into the possession of someone else? Also, this week we heard that there's after they turned over these documents, there's a break in information of January 6th where they don't have all the phone calls documented and the records of the phone calls that the former president made on January 6th during the insurrection. That they call a legal discourse, whatever they called. They tried to rename it this week. This is where we're at, people, in this United States of America. And I'm just going to say it this way. We, as United States citizens, 4 years ago, had a corrupt individual sitting in the Oval Office dictating how this country would be run. The other side of that is you had people who were enabling him to do the things that he was doing. And these people are still going to be running for office 2022 and 2024. And they're riding his coattails, not because his policies or what he did for this United States of America was good. They're riding his coattails because they want his base of people that voted for him, that will continue to support him. They want to keep those people on their side. Has nothing to do with right or wrong anymore. It has to do with political power and being able to dictate and try to manipulate how things are done in this country for their benefit. James Battle. Trump never believed he worked for the U.S. government and its people. He believes he is the U.S. government. So I will ask another rhetorical question. For those folks out there who chose or still support this former president and what he does, and let me just get this straight. I don't care if you like Joe Biden or you don't like Joe Biden. Don't care. He's the president of the United States right now, whether you voted for him or not. Just like you tried to tell everybody that whether you like Donald Trump or not, he's the president of the United States. Deal with it. That's what was said. But my question is, if you still support this man as a former president, knowing all the corruption and things that were done by him and the people who surround him, does that say more about him and the way he does business? Or does it say more about you and your lack of respect for what the political operation is supposed to be about? That's up for you to decide. But at the end of the day, you have to look in the mirror and ask yourself, what are you willing to stand up for and what are you willing to speak out about? Because if everything this man has done that has been brought to the forefront since he was voted in as president and before the fact with these investigations that are going on, where everybody say, oh, they're just picking on him. No. It has nothing to do with corruption is corruption, whether you do it at the highest level or the lowest level. Why these people and why people that vote for him and support him choose to stand by him when they know the corruption that he is involved in? The politicians that are still there, they're talking about a Mitch McConnell and a Lindsey Graham and a Ted Cruz and whoever else you can think about in that Republican Party who stand by the corruption that went on because they want to continue to have the power, should bring you to the point of thinking, what's next? What are they trying to accomplish? What is the end goal of what they are doing? But you know why they don't think about this? Those supporters don't think about this because they don't care. And what they don't realize and what they need to really open their eyes to see is the fact that those people that are up there doing all these changes could care less about them that are voting for them. All they are is a vote for them to stay in power. Nothing more, nothing less. Well, much less. They don't care about how whether you're able to pay your bills. They don't care if your mortgage is going to go to foreclosure. They're not worried about whether you are vaccinated or unvaccinated. It's all political stunts at this point to make you think that they're on your side by what you think. And we as a society and as a community are too blind to see the fact that we're being played like a fiddle. We're being played. And if you're too blind to see how you're being played, might need to do some introspective thoughts and thinking and really look at the inner workings of who you are as an individual in this country overall. You know, this is it's kind of sad. It's kind of sad that it's come to this. And, you know, they brought up this week about how Donald Trump was so loud about the emails of Hillary Clinton. Where are the 3,000 or 300 emails that disappeared and they bleached this or did this or whatever? But I would go out on a limb and say, if I had to put these two, and you know, I don't like to do comparisons, but if I had to put these two side by side of which one was caused more of a threat to national security, I would say the confidential paperwork that has been destroyed, there's top secret documents that are stored in the box where they shouldn't be. Those things are more of a threat than the emails because technically we don't know what was in the email. And they said it was classified information. Okay. But why should Hillary Clinton be held more accountable than Donald Trump? This ex-DOD official or employee is sentenced to 3 months in prison for her mishandling. Someone said this, her mishandling of the documentation, because what she said in her defense was she took the documents home because she was working on something and she took it home to finish the workup. You know, it's an excuse. Could be true. But the bottom line is she didn't handle the documents in the manner that they should have been handled. Nobody said Donald Trump took those documents home because he was doing something extra. Y'all make your own decisions. I'm just giving you the facts of what I know to be true from what I've read. And from my experience, what I've done with classified material, during my military experience, I wouldn't have a career right now. My career would have been stopped in the tracks the day they found that I mishandled that top secret or that classified material outside of the way it was supposed to be handled. No ifs, no ands, no buts. This is the policy. This is what you didn't do according to the policy. Don't pass go, go straight to jail. Don't collect your $200. See you in 3 months or more. Oh, and by the way, you ain't got a career no more either. We're gonna jail you and we're gonna take your career because of the mishandling of documentation that you know by regulation should have been handled in this way. And don't give me that excuse with Donald Trump about, oh, well, he's not a politician. He wouldn't know. Hell, I was a military member. I didn't know how to handle it, but guess what? They gave me the regulations to follow in order to handle it, just like they do everybody else that has to handle it. So those excuses you want to come up with about, oh, well, he's not a politician. He don't know the rules of the road. He don't know this. He don't know that. He knew how to tear that stuff up. He knew how to flush it down the toilet. So if you know how to do that, if you feel the need that you got to flush something down the toilet to hide something or chew something up or anything like that, you know what you're doing. You know exactly what you're doing. Call it what you want. FedEx. All those folks I know that work for FedEx, y'all better be careful out there because obviously they don't really care about you. Attorneys for a black delivery driver are calling for a federal hate crimes probe of the attempted shooting of the driver in Mississippi, saying it's another example of black Americans facing danger simply for going about their daily activities. The FedEx driver, 24-year-old, I can never get this name, Demontario Gibson, I'm gonna call him Mr. Gibson, was not wounded in the January 24th incident. One of his attorneys, Carlos Moore, said Thursday that he believes police are not taking the investigation seriously. 2 white men are facing charges, but Moore said the state needs to upgrade those charges to attempted murder. Moore said Gibson had done nothing wrong before two white men tried to stop him, with one of the men holding a gun. They said he was simply black while working. A Justice Department spokesperson confirmed to the Associated Press on Thursday the department received a request to look into the case and will review the request to determine any next steps. Gibson said he was wearing a FedEx uniform and was driving an unmarked van that FedEx had rented when he dropped off a package at a house in South Mississippi. He said as he was leaving, he noticed a white pickup truck pulling away from another house on the same large lot. This is getting crazy. He said the pickup truck driver tried to cut him off as he left the driveway. Gibson swerved around him and then encountered a second man who had a gun pointed at the van and was motioning for him to stop. Gibson said the man fired as he drove away, damaging the van and packages inside. He said the white pickup chased him to the interstate highway near Brookhaven before ending the pursuit. Edward Allen, Justice Department silent. The Republicans stacked the courts with their own judges. Nobody will be held accountable for anything from January 6th or anything else. That's what it seems. That's exactly what it seems like. And it's sad to say that, but that's exactly what it sounds like. Edward Allen, that's why I came off my rural route. I get it. I get it. Two white men from Brookhaven, 58-year-old Gregory Charles Case and his son, 35-year-old Brandon Case, were arrested and released on February 1st. Police told local news outlets that the elder Case was a suspected pickup driver, while Brandon Case was the man in the street. Gregory Charles Case is charged with conspiracy. Brandon Case is charged with aggravated assault. During a news conference on Thursday, Gibson said he was told by his superiors to run the same route the day after the incident happened. So this stuff happened. He goes back to work the next day, or whatever he went back to work. They told him to run the same route that he just got shot at. They want him to run that route again. This is what he said. The following day, we had to go to file a police report. And as soon as I was done filing the police report, they put me back on the same route. I did that for like a day or two until I started having real bad anxiety attacks, and I just couldn't do it anymore. I asked them for some time off, which I do have, but it's unpaid, said Mr. Gibson. In a statement, FedEx said, FedEx takes situations of this nature very seriously, and we are shocked by this criminal act against our team member. The safety of our team members is our top priority, and we remain focused on his well-being. We will continue to support Mr. Gibson as we cooperate with investigating authorities. Unpaid leave. He was shot at doing a company route in a company rented vehicle, filed a police report where he could have been shot and killed, and the company he works for tells him to go do that same route. Then when he told him that he had a problem doing that route because of anxiety, he asked for some time off. They put him on unpaid leave. Now, we all hear and we all know that if this was a police officer who had shot somebody dead, and we're not going to talk about that no-knock warrant again, but case in point, a police officer would be put on paid leave during the investigation. And because that police officer has either shot somebody or there's some stuff that wasn't supposed to be done that he did. Maybe beat somebody up, hit somebody wasn't supposed to, any of that kind of stuff. But he get paid leave for doing something outside of what the regulations are. This young man was doing his job. Someone tried to shoot him in a company truck. He says he has anxiety because of the incident, and they say, you can take off, but it's unpaid leave. What is going on with corporate America? Come on, we got to do better. Unpaid leave. He shouldn't have had to come back to work the next day, let alone do the same route. It says here about 68% of Brookhaven's 12,000 residents are Black. The city is in Lincoln County, where District Attorney Dee Bates said information will be presented to a grand jury for a decision on charges once police complete their investigation of the Gibson incident. Witnesses, including Gibson, will be able to testify. This has similarities to Ahmaud Arbery, because they feel you're not supposed to be in a certain place because of how you look. Even though you're doing your job, to sustain your livelihood, you're not supposed to be in this area. That's why they chased him, allegedly. And not that they only chase him, supposedly, allegedly, they shot 5 times into the truck, hitting boxes in the truck, somewhere close to hitting him. He was just fortunate enough that he didn't get hit by any of the bullets. Be careful out there, y'all. You know, we don't know what people's intentions are towards us because of where we are, because of how we look, any of those situations. Be aware, but don't be fearful. Be aware, but don't be fearful. Live your life, but be aware. Don't let incidents like this stop you from living your life, but be aware of the things going on around you. It's sad, 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 sad. Affordable housing. Now I've seen this, and it kind of, I don't know where to sit on this, y'all. Let me raise up a little bit, because I'm not sure how I feel about this. And before I get into this, let me give you a definition of affordable housing. The definition of affordable housing, it says, affordable housing refers to housing units that are affordable by that section of society whose income is below the median household income. Through different countries, though different countries have different definitions for affordable housing, but it is largely the same. Affordable housing should address the housing needs of the lower or middle income households. Affordable housing becomes a key issue, especially in developing nations where a majority of the population isn't able to buy houses at the market price. That's what affordable housing is all about. You know, they used to say back in the day that, you know, the projects and things like this was affordable housing. It was a downfall of African-American communities and everything like that. I'm past that. Let's get into what this is about. So this week, Yellow Springs, Ohio. For all y'all don't know Yellow Springs, Ohio, this is the place that only people know about Yellow Springs, Ohio, is because of Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle, his father, lived there. He used to go there for summers. I don't know if everybody knows the story. He used to go there for summers and everything. So he's kind of adopted this out of, he grew up with his mom in Silver Springs. His father lived in Yellow Springs. He used to go back to Yellow Springs during the summer, spend time there. So he takes that as his home. He's bought a home there. He's got land there. That's where he resides. Well, this week, Dave Chappelle was among other Yellow Springs, Ohio residents who opposed an affordable housing plan. Chappelle said if a new development had affordable housing, he would pool his investments from the community. He had plans. He has plans to turn an old firehouse into a comedy club, and he also has plans to, I think it was something else he was doing. Oh, a restaurant. He's making a large restaurant in the area because he's trying to bring some economy into the Yellow Springs area. I'm cool with that. But what he proposed to was the fact that they were going to build affordable housing in this area. And it was supposed to be, and I don't think I wrote that down of what it was supposed to be. But what it broke down to, they were going to have a combination of single family homes, duplexes, and then affordable housing. He didn't want that to happen, him amongst other people. And he said if they did make it happen, he was going to pull his money from there. He wasn't going to build the comedy show or anything. Any investments he had there, he was going to pull it out. Edward Allen, restrictive zoning laws and greedy developers hurt affordable housing. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. And that's why I'm getting into this, because don't get me wrong. When it comes to Dave Chappelle, his comedy and everything, been a fan. Lately, some of the decisions are starting to make me trickle off on the decision, because his comedy, not a problem with the comedy. Personal decisions, And that's what we got to pay more attention to. We can't just love somebody because of what they make us laugh. You got to look at the content of that person, who they are. So the Village of Yellow Springs ultimately voted 2-2 on an affordable housing plan, with one member abstaining, a tie that prevented it from being included in a 53-acre development that remains on track to be built. So rather than them including affordable housing in this project, because he objected, Dave Chappelle objected, and the other people voted that they didn't want it. Now what's going to be built there is 143 single-family homes starting at $300,000 each. Houses will be built, 143 total, which cost $300,000 each. Now, I don't know, y'all. I don't know, because here's the thing, and I understand money talks. I get that. But sometimes, do we get to a certain level in our lives and a certain financial position in our life where we don't want certain people around us? I mean, don't get me wrong. I think the stigma is when you say affordable housing, because who the affordable housing is for, we look at that as a bad thing, that they're going to bring crime, that they're going to, it's going to look all run down and tore up and all this kind of stuff. But I go back to my thinking of, if the area you're building as far as affordable housing becomes what's the word? Torn down looking, run down looking, and everything, or not taking care of it, then that falls more on the people that live there, as well as the people who are supposed to oversee the property. But to prevent it from being built as a whole, what you're telling people who are low income, who are only making minimum wages, that you, as a minimum wage earner, as a low income earner who can't afford a $300,000 house, we don't want you here. Find you somewhere else to live, but you won't live here, because we don't want affordable housing here, not in this community, because of what you may bring with you with the affordable housing. That's my take. So then I have to ask the question is, what makes Yellow Springs so great that they can't have affordable housing there, or they don't want affordable housing there? What is the stigma about affordable housing that has been able to infiltrate the mindset of people that we're all Americans, we're all human beings, and we all should be able to live equally amongst each other? What has come upon us that this kind of stuff happens? That we're voting not to build affordable housing so people can have something, a place to live. And then at the same breath, we talk about the homelessness and how homelessness is bringing down, spreading out into the suburbs and things like that, and bringing down, home equity and the price of homes and things like that. But what are we doing when we come out and say we don't want affordable housing here? If that city says it and the next city says it, and then you got all these different cities saying we don't want affordable housing within our city limits, what are we saying? What are we doing? Because what we have to think about is affordable housing doesn't have a color at this point. Affordable housing doesn't have a color. See, this is stuff that was done back in the 60s. They called it redlining. Donald Trump was guilty of it too, where they wouldn't let, African-American people of color into certain communities. They redline you so you couldn't buy stuff. And this is just a new way of saying we don't want affordable housing. It's no different than redlining, in my opinion. So if you don't want these low wage earners living in your community, then raise the minimum wage so they can afford a $300,000 house. See, the economy has increased, but the pay scale has decreased. Cost of living has increased. The ability to live has decreased. Your livelihood, your income, nothing has changed with the times. If you have it, you have it. If you don't, good luck. But it just caught me. It just caught me off guard that Dave Chappelle was involved. And now I seen the thing where he said that he wasn't against affordable housing. But I didn't see anything that said exactly where his stance was about why he told them he was going to pool his money if they decided to do this. No statement, nothing. Silence. But they were quick to bring up the fact that he was one of the ones who said loudly that he would pool all his money that he was going to invest in that community. They put it up there. But he never gave a reason why. Never said why. Does he need to explain himself? Well, I don't say he needs to explain himself. However, if you're going to make a statement like that, you probably need to put some kind of justification behind it. So people like me can't just take your words and run with it, because there are no words to run with. It just goes with the statement you said that you were going to pull your investments if they approve it. That's it. No ifs, no ands, no buts, no whys, nothing. Well, my question to Dave Chappelle would be, what's the problem with affordable housing? Or why did you not want them to approve a certain, and it wasn't going to be all affordable housing. It was only a certain pocket that they were going to build in this complex, or in this area, in this 53 acres of affordable housing. They were still going to have the $300,000 homes. They were going to have some duplexes. They were going to have affordable housing. And affordable housing doesn't always mean apartment complexes. Remember that. Doesn't always mean apartment complexes. And in the statement, it says, Chappelle, who became a target of criticism this week after speaking against the development in Yellow Springs, said in a statement that the plan was not the right fit for the village. It was not a right fit for the village. And it says, Dave Chappelle didn't kill affordable housing. Concerned residents and a responding village council killed a half-baked plan which never actually offered affordable housing. Then put it all out there. Put it all out there. Because what it seems is, though, because he spoke up, we ain't going to do it because we don't want to lose his investment, which is what they normally do anyway. That's just the way it works. You need to put context. Now, speaking of Dave Chappelle and a friend, good friend, I'm going to say good friend. He's done comedy shows with this person and everything. Joe Rogan. Let's talk about Joe Rogan for a minute. And the N-word. Everybody that knows me knows I can't stand the N-word. I don't use it. I despise it. I can't stand to hear it. This week, there was the controversy about Joe Rogan. First, it was about him spreading misinformation through his podcast on Spotify. They told him Spotify shut him down and everything. And then it came out where someone put a clip together. I think it was NDIRE who posted it, but there was a clip they put together where he said the N-word numerous times through his shows. So now they've taken 70 episodes down initially, and now it's down. It's been up to 113 episodes they've taken down because of misinformation, because of use of the N-word, and so on and so forth, and whatever. Joe Rogan is not new to controversy. Let's just start there. He's not new to controversy. And he said the reason he used the N-word was in the context of when he would talk about Richard Pryor or different things like that. But then he said he's come to realize that he shouldn't use the word at all. But I'm not, don't get me wrong, I don't think he should use the word, just like I don't think we should use the word. Let's just be real about it. But my problem comes in is that with all this Joe Rogan stuff that's going on with the Spotify, and I'm saying the misinformation about the coronavirus and the guests he has on there, after people say something about it, you decide to take down 113 episodes where misinformation or the N-word has been used in. After people are in an uproar about it. Not at the time when it seemed like it was okay, but after the fact. That's number one. The second problem I have with this is that if Joe Rogan was using the N-word like that on his podcast or whatever, and no one found any problem with it in the time that he was using it, I've seen guests on Joe Rogan's podcast to include Dave Chappelle, Kevin Hart, Snoop Dogg, all these people that he has on his podcast over time. And none of them saw the need or an issue with him using the N-word on his podcast, whether it was with them or a show that they weren't even on. I don't care who you are. I don't care where you sit. If someone around you who does not look like you uses the N-word around you or towards somebody that looks like you or whatever, you know what I'm saying, 9, maybe 8 out of 10 people will correct them. I know you're not going to say it around me. I don't care who you are. I don't care where you come from, because I'm going to let you know, because most of my friends, and I'll just be honest with you, most of my friends will put a precursor up there before they use it. Say, I know you don't know, I know you don't like this word, but I got to use it in this context. It doesn't eliminate the fact that I don't like it. It's just a lead up to the fact that they're going to say it. Still not acceptable to me, but you do what you do. But what I'm saying is, if these people are on his shows, you can't tell me, and I don't know, maybe I look at it differently, but if you're comfortable using it when I'm not around, eventually you will be comfortable using it when I am around. And then I go back to something I've said many, many, many times before, and people will say, oh, well, you're getting away from what Joe Rogan did to your personal opinions and stuff like that. And yeah, that's where I'm going today. And it needs to be brought up during this Black History Month, because I've always said this, and I will go to my grave stating this. For the rappers, the industry, they talk about Quentin Tarantino in Django, how many times the N-word was used and all these different things and all this kind of stuff. And I always go back to the point of saying, and this is something that I truly feel in my heart, I cannot see myself using the N-word as a term of endearment per se, or anything like that. And you heard me say I used to sing Tupac songs and everything like that. I don't sing those songs. I still listen to them every once in a while, but I cringe when I hear the N-word in there, because in my mind, my mindset has always been that the N-word was the last word that many of our ancestors heard before they were killed, before they were hung from a tree, before they were lynched, whatever you want to say. It's the last, not their name, but the N-word. And just that thought does not sit well with me. And it just doesn't sit well with me when we hear people out here using it and they say it's a term of endearment. We hear it in comedy and all this kind of stuff, and people using it and just throwing it out. Because for me, I've been places where I could be standing somewhere, or I could be on a street somewhere, and I see people talking to each other, and every third word is the N-word. And it's not always the people that look like me. It's no different that you get upset when you hear women running around calling each other the B word. Yeah. I mean, come on. But now we're looking at Joe Rogan through our eyes of saying, wait a minute, you can't use that word. But the people that he interviews, the people that he's friends with, he hears them using it in their comedy skits all the time. Now, I'm not giving him justification for using it. I'm just giving you an example on why he felt comfortable using it. James Battle. I hate that word. Growing up in Alabama during the 60s and 70s, I heard it too much, and it's degrading and was used in a degrading manner. All of our experiences are different, but you can line them up that they all have similarities, especially when it revolves around that word. Terrence Collins, what's up, my brother? Never used it, never will. How can we get the word banned? Count me in. Good morning, my brother. Yes, sir. I don't know, man. I don't know. To get it banned? Well, in order to get it banned, we have to start with us. Because it throws me when I talk about this, and I did a whole show on this years ago. And I think about it, and it's kind of like, of all the words in the dictionary, why this one? Why is this one so controversial? Why does this one have such a stigma? Why does this one word have so much cause so much emotion? Why? And I think from my opinion, I think it does this and it causes this for the simple fact of what we know it to be used for. This word was used to minimize people of color, Black people, African Americans, to minimize them to the lowest stature of not even having an identity. When they used that word, you were just an object, not a person, not a human being. You were nothing. And then and when I say we, I say our society, our generation, use this word for monetary gain. Let's just be honest about it. For monetary gain and impact. And what we don't realize is that by using this word, we have not only, as I mentioned before with our ancestors, minimized their existence and what they fought for. We have minimized our own standing as far as who we are as a people when we continually use this word and then have the audacity to come out our mouths and say it's a term of endearment. I don't get it. And I probably never will. And I will be glad to have this conversation with anyone to maybe give me a better understanding. But at this point, at 55 years old, the way that word used to trigger me when I was a young man, it would cause me to, that word to me back when I was young was just as much of a trigger as someone saying your mama or your daddy. Because everybody knows how I love my mama. And you're not going to disrespect my mama. Let's just start there. Love you, Lucille. And when they would say your daddy, being that my father passed away at a young age, those were triggers. But that N word, it was something about that N word that just did not sit well. That was a trigger to a whole nother level. Because in my mind, as I said, it made me feel that you looked at me as if I was nothing. Terrence, term of endearment, that's ridiculous. I've never not cringed every time I've heard the word. Taking it back, I don't think so. As my beautiful mother likes to say, I'm not going to claim it. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Not going to claim that either. I'm not going to claim it either. Kamiko Sue King, good morning. Good morning, Queen. Good morning. Good morning. Appreciate the support. But yeah, it's just something that, and I know I've gotten a little off on this, what we were talking about this morning, but it's just something that does not sit well with me. And I don't want to speak for all you, but if you really think about it, it should not sit well with you either. Should not sit well with you either. But everybody has their own choices to make. Everybody has their own cross to bear. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I ain't slipped up sometimes or whatever when I'm listening to songs and all that kind of stuff. No, I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm holier than thou. However, when I recognize the error of my ways, I make it a point to correct it. Now, this is going to sound crazy, y'all. Y'all might laugh a little bit, but whenever I turn on some music and I'm listening to it and I get in that mode and I throw on some Public Enemy or some Tupac and that word comes out, not too long after that, I had to put on some gospel music. Don't judge me. Don't judge me. I throw on some gospel music because I want to get recentered. But I just do not like that word. And I'll say again what I was speaking on from the beginning. For Joe Rogan to be able to get away with this and now to uproar about it and everything, I have to ask the question of where are those, and I'll just say black celebrities who he is supposed to be friends with, who do his shows and everything like that, who haven't come out and said anything against him using the word. See, we get silent about certain things, but we loud about others. It's silence amongst the community of entertainers per se. Silence. Haven't heard one of them say anything. The only one that stood up was India.Arie, and then she backtracks. I don't know what's going on with that. You can't stand on your firmness or how you don't agree with him using the N-word, and then two days later you're like, well, you know what? Maybe it ain't that bad. It's all about this right here. We tend to overlook things as long as money's involved and as long as they ain't affecting our bottom line. I don't get it. I probably never will. I don't. Y'all have to excuse me. This is one of them that I just can't. I can't. I just can't. Let's go and get into this. Mind, body, and soul. Mind, body, and soul. This year, 2022. We're still taking it one day at a time, but this year we're taking it by the minute. 1,440 minutes per day. 24 hours in a day breaks out to 1,440 minutes in a day. You enjoy those minutes. Take it moment by moment. Enjoy the moments in the totality of what it has to provide. And today's mind, body, and soul is a quote. And it goes along a little bit to what we've been talking about. I have two of them here, and I'm kind of torn which one I want to go with. So y'all bear with me for a minute. Because as I always tell you, I get the quote and then I come off the dome about the in-depth part of what I want to say about this quote. And the quote today is, pass the truth to the next generation. Teach them early what we learn late. Pass the truth to the next generation. Teach them early what we learn late. You know, I know many of us will go back and we say, man, I wish somebody would have told me this years ago. I wish I'd have known this. If I'd have known then what I know now, boy, I'd have been dangerous and all those type things, right? But you can't go back and change what's already happened. You can only learn from what's going on in your life. But what we know today compared to what we thought we knew back then is now we know the truth about what our lives are about, what goes on in our lives and what goes on around us. Why? Because we have experience in those things that we had no clue about when we were younger. Our youth are going to be ones that we pass the torch to. So rather than us sitting around at times and we be like, well, these young kids don't know this, they don't know that. We need to give to them what was not given to us. And when I say not given to us, I'm not saying our parents didn't give us everything that we needed at the time as far as the knowledge and things like that, because you learn along the way. And like they always say, you're going to learn from your experience, your bumps in the roads, all those things are going to happen. But one thing I would say is what we need to do is we need to pour. We need to pour into our youths the things we know that are truths that we did not understand and know at the time when we were their age. You know, we can go as far back as the N-word and what it was used for and how it was used and why the trigger was there. Because now in today's society, when they hear the N-word, they think it's okay, unless someone is telling them that it's not. So when they hear it in the music, they see it in the movies, they see it used as and talked about as a term of endearment. They don't know any better because we're not instilling the fact that that's a negative to our community, and this is why. It goes along with if someone would have been able to tell us about financial responsibility at a young age, where would we be? You know, we talk about generational wealth. Generational wealth is not only monetarily, but it's mindetarily. I just made it up, mindetarily. Not always monetarily, but mindetarily. Generational wealth is passing on the knowledge, the wisdom, the information on to this younger generation that you have and that you're willing to give of yourself to make them better at who they are going to become. You know, we always talk about where we started, you know, certain people of certain demographic got a head start. But we always look at that as the monetary part of it, not the mindetary part. See, sometimes we have to think about it and sit back and say to ourselves, what can I instill in this younger generation that's going to help them along the way? So it's not about somebody having a head start in front of them, but where they can start, where they understand where they're starting and why they're starting. These are things that we fall short on because as much as we think that the money and the monetary value and the monetary income is the basis of how we're going to turn out, that's not always the truth, because you can start at the bottom and still be just as profitable at the top if you're mindfully aware of what's going on around you. If those things have been instilled in them, for them to be able to know that no matter what obstacles come in their way, they're still able to proceed and become successful at anything they want to do. But it starts with us instilling those things in the younger generation. So the things that we may not have been able to, that we didn't know, or we may not have been able to do, that they have the opportunity to do at an early age to become successful at anything they want as they go through life. Now, sometimes in there, we get people who don't want to pass their information on out of jealousy, envy. They don't want someone to have what they already have. Too much is given, much is required. Give back. Do your best to instill in this next generation for them to become, so they don't have to fight these same fights. We're not fighting the same fights our ancestors fought. And the next generation should not have to fight the same fights that we're fighting now. It's up to us to instill in them and pass the truth to them so they know exactly where they stand. They know exactly what they can do, and they know exactly how to get that roadmap to get where they want to get to. It may not be easy, but give them the roadmap. How they choose to navigate it, now the onus is on them. Pass the truth to the next generation. Teach them early what we learn late. That's the mind, body, and soul for today. I appreciate everybody tuning in today. Another day, episode 5, Saturday morning. You know, as I said in the beginning, mask mandates are being dropped, you know, in certain states, you know, and be careful. Do what you have to do to protect you and yours. That's all I'm going to say on that. Whether you're vaccinated, unvaccinated, whatever, protect you and yours. And, you know, I said this one time before, and people got a little upset with me, but if you are not vaccinated, if you chose not to be vaccinated, that's a choice you make. But, you know, it would be nice if you allowed the people around you to make the decision of whether they want to interact with you because of your status. Just me. But if you're unvaccinated and you're around people that you know are vaccinated, do them a courtesy to let them know that you choose not to be vaccinated. So then they have an opportunity to make a decision on how they deal with you and whether they want to deal with you in that environment. It's just me. Take it for what it's worth. Take it for what it's worth. Love yourself. Love one another. Keep your head up. And most definitely, keep your faith in God. I'll see y'all again next week. RW Coolings on all social media platforms. Everywhere you look, everywhere you go. Keep tuning in. Keep sharing. And I love y'all. And I'm out. I'll holler at y'all next week. Peace.